the process. Thanks for setting that recording up. I think that was you, Stephen. But again, we're going to welcome Raj, who is a startup founder here at the Rec Innovation Lab, who's going to be helping us to build our websites. So Raj, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit more about what we can expect?
Absolutely. So hello, everybody. I'm Raj. I am a student founder at the Rec Innovation Lab. Thank you so much, Tanya, for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to this today. So as you just saw, my company in the Rec Innovation Lab is called OffGrid Technologies. And what we do there is we make portable wilderness chargers. So that's a little bit about my company. Today, I'm going to be taking you guys through WordPress, and WordPress being like a website builder. And for the WordPress, I'm actually going to be showing you guys about my other company. So my other company is called tutorsforgood.com. And the reason why I'm showing you guys Tutors for Good is because we really optimized the website there, because it's a service company that's online. So we're going to be showing you guys a little bit about Tutors for Good and like what it looks like on the back end. And then, so what Tutors for Good does, just for some background, is we provide online tutoring sessions. And the for good aspect is that every week students can come back and get one free 30-minute tutoring session. So that way, for students that can't afford pricey tutoring, they can still come back and get tutoring through our website, Tutors for Good.
So it's a social venture, and that's one of the things that we just love about what you're doing there, Raj. So that's really wonderful. So I just wanted to just one little housekeeping thing, if you don't mind, just to let everybody know, while we're doing this video, you might want to turn your own personal cameras off during the presentation, but then later when we do some Q&A, you can turn them back on. Also, make sure that you know that your microphones are muted. And so if you do have a question, you have to unmute yourself. Anything else that we wanted to say housekeeping wise, Raj or Stephen or anyone else?
For questions, Raj, do you want people to ask during, or do you want them to hold their questions until the end?
Either way, I think that the best way is probably, it might be in the chat. So if you want to ask them in the chat, and then I'll kind of stop. There's kind of different sections of this. So I'll pause like halfway through to answer some of the questions.
Perfect.
That's a great plan. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right, then whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Yeah. So here's my goal for today. So the goal is to provide an easy foundation for entrepreneurs to build a professional looking website for cheap. So my two big goals here are easy and cheap and professional. So I want to help you guys get a good looking website without spending a lot of money, because I know that you're all bootstrapping your companies. So, and I know that you all can do this. It seems daunting at first, and I'm going to kind of try to go over some of the pitfalls of like things that you might not be expecting and kind of things to look out for. But the goal here is that you can get a professional website without paying thousands of dollars. It's totally doable. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. First, we'll talk about domain names. So domain names are like the websites, like your .com or .net, or just basically your website name. That's where you have to start with a website. You have to get a website domain name before you can have a website. Then we'll talk about when to use WordPress. WordPress is possibly not the best idea for your very first website for your company. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about some things that you need to know before you use WordPress. There's a little bit of just kind of confusion about, and it's a little bit challenging to understand some of the things that happen before WordPress. They're going to kind of clear some of those up. And then we'll give a live demo of kind of going into the back end of tutorsforgood.com, showing you guys about some of the key things, which are themes, plugins, and creating pages. And then finally, I'll open up for some general questions at the end. All right, so domains. So a domain name, this is the handle for your website. So our domain name is tutorsforgood.com. That's like the thing that you type into the search bar, and then it directs the person, the customer, whoever's looking at your website, directs them to their website. So Google's domain name is google.com. Amazon's is amazon.com. That's what a domain name is. And so there's quite an art in choosing a domain name, because if your domain name is not very closely matched to your company name, that can cause a lot of confusion. So for instance, if our company was Tutors for Good, but then our domain name was tutor, free, and great, right? That wouldn't be a very clear, like, how do you get this domain name? Or like, how do you type that in, right? Or if it's a very confusing name, like, I don't know, maybe it's a word that's hard to spell. Maybe it's like, I don't know, like banana. People can misspell banana, right? Then maybe that's going to be difficult to spell. So you want to choose something that's a very simple name, very easy to type in. When I tell you tutorsforgood.com, it's very easy to get all three of those words. And it's the same as our company name. Another thing to consider when choosing a domain is that it's usually best to have a domain that ends in .com. There's been studies done on this, but people prefer .com companies as opposed to like .net companies, .app. There's lots of different domain endings, but most of the biggest companies, if you think of a lot of the biggest companies, they all end in .com. So that's a good, try to get one that ends in .com. And then the last thing is that you should not be spending more than $20 on your domain. Most domains will go for about $12. Some will go for $14. Some of them you can get for free, depending on like your website builder package. You can get some domains for free. Then there are some domains that cost thousands of dollars. You don't want to buy the ones that cost thousands of dollars. It's probably not worth it as a startup. Just try to stay under $20 with your domain. That's about all that it's worth. And then I would also say that domains is one of the things that you should be thinking about when you're choosing your company name. So let's say I'm going to show you guys how to search for a domain name. Let's say that you can't find your domain name that matches your company. That's actually, if you're a service-based company, it's really essential that you have a domain that matches your company name. So just like when you're choosing a company name, a lot of people think about like trademarks. They think about, can we incorporate under this name? This is one of the things, like the domain name, that you should be thinking about is like, is my domain name there? So Tutors for Good was chosen, and the first thing that I looked up was, does tutorsforgood.com exist? And it wasn't the first domain name that we thought of. So where to get domains? I like Google domains personally. So if you go to domains.google, just look up Google domains. You can kind of search for domains. So you can just type in any domain, kind of type in words that are similar to what you're doing. So maybe if I was looking for a domain for Tutors for Good, maybe I would write it in like, I would write in like tutoring and like good, and then we'll see what it comes up with. So yeah, it'll take its sweet old time, but so yeah, so you can get like tutoringgood.com. You could get tutoringgood.us. You could get some alternatives. So tutoring, is it good? I don't like that name personally, but you know, it'll give you some suggestions. If you type in, so if I typed in tutors for good, it would tell me that this domain is taken. So you can see tutorsforgood.com is taken, and that's because I own that. So you can't now take my domain from me. But you could get a tutorsforgood.org, or it'll suggest some other things. So tutors for fine, tutors for best. And then if you click on this, so tutorsgood.com, you click on this, Google Domains actually gives you some insights about why this is a good domain or why it's a bad domain. So it'd say it has a popular ending, it's easy to pronounce, it's easy to type, and the words are spelled correctly. So those are all good things that Google Domains will tell you. So I'd recommend using Google Domains, kind of look this up. GoDaddy is another very popular domain site. And then also, we'll talk about like website builders. So if in your website builder or web hosting package, they might be able to give you domains for free. Okay, so now when to use WordPress. So initially, your very first website, I would recommend you use a free website builder. So a free website builder, a good example of this is Google Sites. There are others, which we'll talk about on the next slide. But free website builders are good because they're free, right? So all you should have to pay for is the domain name, and then actually building the website should be completely free. And with a free website builder, it is free, so that it has its limitations, but the goal is that it can give you a proof of concept. They're usually very easy to create a website. It's limited, but then once you can prove your concept with a free website builder, then you need to plan what your new website's going to look like. And when you're ready to take a step up and make a more professional website, then you can use WordPress. So WordPress is where you can kind of build the website of your dreams, right? That's where you can really take a step up with your website, go beyond just having a free website and make it something bigger and better. So this is kind of like when in your process, I'd recommend starting with a free website and then moving on. So here's an example. This was the old Tutors for Good website. So as of about a year ago, this is what it looked like. And we kept this website up for about a month. And in this time, we were just trying to like pump as much traffic to the website to see, does this concept work? Does this business model, is a unique business model, does it work? And so as you can see, the website is not like, it's not anything like amazing. It's just text and links. And we had some pages, there were some images. That was about it. So this is what you can get with Google Sites. It's very simple. This is very easy to make. It probably took like about a day. It was free. And after this, I decided like, okay, this business model is working. Let's move to a more professional WordPress site. Okay, so this is something that you should know before you use WordPress is when you Google WordPress, you'll get two results. You'll get WordPress.org and WordPress.com. And so you're going to be wondering, which of these do I choose? So the bottom line is that you want WordPress.org. If you don't remember anything else, you want WordPress.org. WordPress.com is a free version of WordPress.org. So WordPress.org makes WordPress, and WordPress is this website builder. So you want to use WordPress that's created by WordPress.org. WordPress.com is a version of WordPress.org that is simpler to use. It's got a very fast startup, but the caveat is that it has very little opportunity to customize. So if you make a WordPress.com site, it's basically just going to be like a blog. It's going to be free, and there's not going to be very much room to change that. Also with WordPress.com, it shows ads on your website unless you pay a lot of money for it. So that's also probably not something that you want on your website. My recommendation is that if you want to use WordPress.com, because it's a free website builder, you can use that in your initial stage, just like Google Sites. And so instead of Google Sites, maybe you want to make a WordPress.com site. And then once you're ready to take a step up, then you can use a WordPress.org site. So WordPress.org by WordPress.org. So generally, when people talk about WordPress, they're talking about WordPress.org. That's like what WordPress is. So when I say WordPress, I'm referring to WordPress.org by WordPress.org. So they're very similar. It's pretty confusing. Like, why are they so similar? And the reason is because they have a similar platform. It's a similar website builder on the back end. But what you can do with these two platforms is very different. So you want WordPress.org. That's the bottom line here. I think I see some questions in the chat. Okay, so WordPress.com is free. Yes. .org is free, but there's a caveat, which I'll get to in the next slide. Why choose WordPress over other sites? That's a good question. So I prefer WordPress because it's kind of like the industry, a lot of people in the industry use WordPress. I believe that the statistic is like 1/3 of all websites are on WordPress, running on some form of WordPress. Mm-hmm. It's really like everybody uses WordPress. So the meaning of that is that with WordPress, you can really customize a lot, and a lot of things are compatible with WordPress.org.
I was gonna. Can I just echo that from my perspective? I agree 100%. So I those of you who don't know me, I'm the director of an incubator, and I really highly recommend that you use WordPress for all the reasons that Raj mentioned. We use Google Sites for testing, WordPress for the real site. I mean, it's what people use. You'll thank yourself later. So yeah, that's all. I'm done interjecting. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's totally right. Yeah. So WordPress is just what people use. I would recommend it for just that reason alone. Allison asked, should you buy a couple domains that match your trade so others don't steal it? Yes, I think that's a great idea. Domains are reasonably cheap. So I would buy them. And I would buy them like sooner. So if you get some notoriety, like what you can do in WordPress is you can have, if you own multiple domains, you can have them redirect to the same website. So if you have multiple domains, then that's totally cool. You can just kind of have them redirect. Can you change your domain name? Yes. So if you have, that's kind of what I was saying. So usually you would buy a second domain name, and then you would take that and direct it to your site. So I have like tutorsforgood.com. And then if I wanted to change that to, maybe I buy tutoringforgood.com because people type that in instead, then I would have that redirect to Tutors for Good website. And that way, no matter what they type in, it would still redirect to the same page. And then the people asking about hosting, that's the next slide. So just wait on that. All right, so hosting. So hosting is a kind of a big deal. WordPress is self-hosted. So that means that you have to figure out you have to basically run your website on the cloud. So if you're using another builder like Squarespace, your website runs on Squarespace's servers. Whereas with WordPress, you have to figure out your own server to run a website on. So basically, a server, right? It has to be something that can show a website to the internet. So you build your website using WordPress, but how is that website going to be given to the world? How is that going to be shown on the internet? So Google Sites, all your free website builders, they will have hosting integrated in them for free. That's why it's very beneficial, because you don't have to pay for any of this. You don't have to worry about any of this. And so WordPress.com, that free website builder, is hosted on WordPress.com. So you don't have to get your own hosting. But with a WordPress.org, WordPress by WordPress.org, it does not come with hosting. It's not self-contained. So to the person who was asking, can you just download WordPress.org? I mean, you can, and you can run that yourself, but I would not recommend that. What I would recommend is that you should pay for hosting your website on the cloud. The reasoning is that it's a lot simpler. The cost is not too high, and downloading it yourself, you're going to have to do a lot of custom coding on your end. So I wouldn't recommend that unless you're like a whiz coder. So I would pay for hosting on the cloud. The WordPress recommended hosting platforms, there's 3 of them on the official WordPress site. It's Bluehost, DreamHost, and SiteGround. So all of these are recommended by WordPress.org as hosting. What I recommend, I've done the research on this. I recommend using Bluehost. In my eyes, it's the cheapest package, and it's got the most stuff, bang for your buck, basically. So again, my goal is to get you guys a cheap website. I would recommend Bluehost. It gets everything that you need. It's not overly cheap to the point where it doesn't have all the features. It has all the features that you would need. It's got a lot of customization, and you can get a lot for a little bit of money. Yeah, Ray's saying that he's a SiteGround for SQL needs. Yeah, I mean, SiteGround is good. There's other hosting platforms as well, aside from just these 3. There's GoDaddy has got a pretty good hosting site, but it's not officially recommended by WordPress. There's plenty. So I do recommend that you do your own research as well. But yeah, that's a little bit about hosting. The key thing is that you're going to have to look at something, a way to run your website on a server. That's the bottom line here. All right, so if there's any questions about that stuff, feel free to put it in the chat. But I think now I'm going to transition into a live demo, so kind of showing you guys what the back end of Tutors for Good. Okay, so this is the Tutors for Good WordPress. So if you go, so you guys can't go here yourself, it's locked, but tutorsforgood.com/WP-admin. So this is kind of where you log in. So if you had, your domain was mydomainxyz.com, you would have mydomainxyz.com/WP-admin. And that's where you can log into your WordPress account and see your dashboard. And this is where you can edit stuff. So the first thing that you need to think about when you have WordPress installed is your theme. So we go over here to appearance and themes. The theme is the base of your website. So everything kind of builds off of the appearance of your theme. So this doesn't mean that the theme that you choose is locked in. Usually you should get a theme that you can customize, but you can kind of see. So this is the theme that I have, Customify. And I chose it. I'll kind of go through the reasoning as to why I chose that theme, but there are so many themes. There's like a lot of themes. I can't express to you. If you look through, there's just like so many themes. And so you can see just the ones that I have installed. There's like just 7 themes right here that look completely different. These 2017, 2016, these are ones that are like recommended by WordPress as like the theme of the year. So they automatically get installed. But if you want to find your own theme, which I would recommend, you click add new theme, and then you can kind of filter through all of the themes. Again, a theme is the base of your website, and you want to choose a theme that kind of is close to where you want to go. It's close to the look and feel of your website that you want to get to, but it doesn't have to be exactly the look and feel that you want, because you can customize your theme, and you should customize your theme so that you add your own company's touch and feel to the theme. So there are free themes, there are paid themes. I would say in general, unless there's some very specific need that you have for your website, like something that's very specific and is handled by a theme. So for instance, I did consider at one point Customify as a free theme. I did at one point consider buying a paid theme to handle booking, because people needed to book tutoring sessions. So there is a custom theme that is paid that does that, but I found a different solution and I went with that instead. So the exception is if you have a very specific thing that you need a paid theme for, it might be worth it. But I think in general, most websites for companies can use a free theme. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on a theme. So here's how you can kind of find your theme. There's a filter. So we went to add new theme, popular, and then we went to feature filter. So you can kind of choose, so you would choose like the subject, so e-commerce company or education company, right? And then you can filter by features. I would definitely check off the accessibility ready features. The accessibility ready is like it's like a bare minimum for a theme. So you definitely want to have that. And you really want to be able to customize your theme. You do not want to be locked into any specific part of your theme. So definitely check off all these boxes. You want things that have ability to customize. That's really, really important with your theme. And then I would say you want theme options. You just really want to be able to full site editing. You want to be able to customize it. Even if you don't customize stuff immediately, you're going to want to customize it down the line. You don't want to be stuck changing your theme in like a year. That's always bad news. So you can apply these filters, and then we can kind of see there's no themes found. Cool. Oh yeah, it's because I checked off both e-commerce and education. So you go just e-commerce, then no themes found. Cool. So we checked off too much stuff. Let's just kind of do. So here are some themes. You can see they're all very different. They have different looks and feels. And when you find a theme that you like, so you can kind of click on this and preview it. You can see like, what is this homepage going to look like? And then once you're ready, so you can see, here's your homepage for the internet provider theme. You can kind of click around through these themes. And once you have found a theme that you like, you can find multiple themes and kind of test them around right when you're starting. You just kind of click install there, and then it'll install to your WordPress account, and then you can use that theme. So kind of pick a theme, install it, and then once you have installed a theme that you would like to use, go back to your themes page, and then this will show you the themes that you have installed. So I have 7 themes that I've actually installed, and before I was browsing all of the themes. So this is now the themes that I have installed. And then from here, you should activate your theme. So whichever theme you're actually going to use, activate that, and then it'll become the theme that is on your website. Once you've activated a theme, so I've activated Customify, then you can go into customize your theme. And you can also find the customize tab by clicking on the sidebar here. I'll just click here to customize. This is an important part. So I would say get your theme and then customize it. And if after you customize it, it still doesn't look right, then you need to find a different theme. But do this at the beginning so that you don't have to go and change all of your pages and all of your posts, all of the pages of your website, you don't have to go back and try to change the theme on all of those. It would be very sad and difficult to do that. It would take a long time. So do this at the beginning. Here are some of the things that I recommend that you customize on your theme. So if we start with the homepage settings, so the first thing is that your homepage displays your latest posts or a static page. I would say for 99% of your startups, you want to be displaying a static page. Your latest post is your blog. So if you just want to have your blog be your homepage, you would choose your latest post, and that's going to be the default option. Usually you want to have a static page on that is your homepage. And then from here, you can choose which homepage. So I'll show you where the pages are. You can choose out of all the pages that you have, which of these do you want to be your homepage? And so this is the homepage that I've chosen, and you can see it here. So on the right, you see the homepage, and it'll update live. And then the post page is where your blog is. So just kind of like, kind of a sidebar, there are two different things. There's pages and there are posts. So pages are like, they're pages. So they're things that you can kind of click on, and they'll show you, like, it's on your website. You can kind of click on them, and then you can see, oh, this is like a page. There's something happening there. The difference is that posts go on your blog. So on like your updates page or your blog page, you will have like posts, and those posts are they go on your blog. So posts are on your blog, pages are not on your blog. That's kind of the big difference. So if I'll show you here, like on Tutors for Good, so the homepage is an example of a page. This is the homepage. This is an example of a page. And then if I go to the jobs page, then this is also a page. It's not part of my blog, so this is a page. And then the updates page is my blog. So the blog, if all of these, so work for Google without going to college, that is a post. How to get into a college of your choice, that's a post. Me sharing leadership lessons, that's a post. So all of these things are posts. That's kind of the big difference. So when you're looking at which is your post page, then that's the page where your blog is going to be showing. So you want to choose that to be something that's going to have something to do with the blog, basically. So that's homepage settings. Then there's like your header and your footer. So here's your header. So if I kind of show you over here, you can see how we are customizing the header. So the primary menu is right here. Let me show you. All right, so this is the primary menu. So on the desktop version, it's kind of like horizontally across the top. And then in this version, it's kind of in a menu bar on the side. So this is the primary menu. And then these are your social icons. So you can kind of see primary menu, there's like social icons is like one of the things that you can customize. So if I go to social icons, you can, so if I have a Twitter, I can enable the Twitter and link it here, Pinterest, all that sort of stuff, you link it there. And then here's a custom button. So the book now button, that's something that I would like people to do. I want them to book tutoring sessions. So button, you can click button here, and then you can kind of change what the button looks like or enable it. That's a good thing to do. And these are all kind of things that would go in your header. And so you can see in the header builder here, you can kind of change the order of the stuff, and you can change, where things are going in your header. So that's a quick overview of the header. There's a pretty decent amount of stuff that you can do with your header. So it's just basically up to however much you want to do. And so you can see here, this is what the header looks like on the actual desktop version of the website. So you have like the logo, then you have a primary menu, then you have a button, and then the social icons are in the top corner here. They're covered by my name, but that's just because I'm logged into WordPress. Okay. All right, then your footer is very similar. So if we go to the footer sidebar, you can see that this is the footer. So footer sidebar 1 is all of this like as featured on stuff, so that I made custom, the footer sidebar 1. And then you can also see there's like recent posts. So I put that in footer sidebar 1. and the subject, so peer-to-peer tutoring, and then there's some subjects that kind of pop up here. And then at the bottom of the footer, we have a copyright, and we have something about our privacy policy and terms. So again, this is all totally customizable. You can change all of this. And then as you can see, there's like a place to put in your copyright. If you want to put your social icons back in, you can. You can have 6 different sidebars, so you can really customize all of this stuff in the footer. And then the final place where I would look when you're going here is in the menus. So the menus is a really important place. You'll spend a lot of time here. Is that this is the main menu. So this is kind of like where we started. And when you make a new page, it does not automatically go into this menu here. So the things that you want people to be able to click on, you need to put in the main menu. And you do that by adding items. So let's say I wanted to add the privacy policy to the menu, which doesn't make much sense, but let's just say I wanted to do it. And then maybe I wanted it to be between bookings and jobs. So then I would put it in there, and you could see that, look, now the privacy policy is in the menu. And then if I wanted to change what it shows up as, so even though the name of the page is called privacy policy, I could change this to just TOS if I wanted to. Probably not a good idea, but you can see that even though the page is the same, I can change what the label is in the menu. So this is something that is important to do when you're making a lot of pages at the beginning. You want most of them to be in your menu, but they're not going to automatically go to your menu. So you have to go to customize your theme and put these things in the menu yourself. And then if you want to nest it, you kind of drag it in there. So if we kind of drag TOS in, or let's see, so if we drag TOS in, then you can see that there's like an arrow under booking now. And then when you click that arrow, it goes to, now you can see TOS. So that's a way to put your terms of service, or if you want to have like groups of things in your menu, then you can do that by kind of just dragging right in here. So this is something that people do a lot. This is very frequent. You just kind of drag it right in, and that's how you can nest stuff. So, all right, let me delete that. Don't want that to be in the sidebar. Okay. So yeah, do you guys have any questions about themes? I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to say there. So themes are the base of your website, and this is the customize tab. And so you want to, I would say, customize your header, customize your footer, customize the homepage settings, and customize the menus. Those are the 4 things that I would definitely recommend that you customize. Take a look at the chat here. We're building on WordPress by WordPress.org. So that's the clarification. WordPress.org is the bottom line. The maximum number of plugins. That's a good question. Plugins are next. So I will go there now.
Hi, Raj. I have one question.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
When it comes to the post, what does it help with? Like when you're posting, what is the difference between posting and then the website? Like what, does it make a huge impact or not?
Okay, that is a good question. Okay, so posts, I'll go there now. So the thing with posts that makes it good is that it shows, so posts are good for something called SEO, or search engine optimization. Basically, all that means, it's a fancy word to just say like, how well do you show up on Google? That's really all that SEO means. And so having posts is good because it generates content for your website, and it shows Google that you have an active website. So when you make lots of posts, it shows Google, oh, this website's getting updated frequently. And additionally, if you have more people that are coming to your website to see your updates, you're going to get more traffic, and it's more likely that they end up, for us, they end up booking a tutoring session. That's what we want, right? So posts are good. There's really an art and science to like how to make good posts, which is not the topic of this, but posts are good. I would just say in general, they're good for your website and good to help the health of your website.
Right. And I would say that sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I would say that, yeah, there's so many different rabbit holes we could go down with all of this. And these are a lot of the kind of things that end up, we cover in different workshops and classes, but yeah, I would love to have another workshop on just posting. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of different facets of your website. So I'm just kind of trying to get you guys started here with the building of the website. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so then for plugins. So plugins is up next. So what is a plugin? A plugin is something that you add to your website. Basically, anything that you don't feel like you can immediately do with your website. So you can add an image to a page pretty easily, but something like even very simple things like duplicating a page is not something that is built into WordPress. And so anything that you feel like you cannot do immediately with the built-in WordPress features is something that you should consider adding a plugin for. Plugins are also good to integrate with different external services. So I'll show you guys like the MailChimp integration is something that's very useful. And that's something that uses a plugin to add to the website and really creates a big benefit. To the person who asks about how many plugins you should have. So it really just depends on the load that each plugin does. So some plugins are very simple. So like I have this one about like, it's like about copying posts. So, as you can see, I have a pretty reasonable amount of plugins. So duplicate post, that is a plugin that does like one thing for me. And it really doesn't affect the loading time of my website because it really doesn't do very much. But on the other hand, something like WordPress carousel, that's something that does affect it does a lot for me. I can show you where the carousel is. The carousel is kind of on the front page here. And so it's really a question of when you have lots of plugins, because plugins can do a lot for you. It is really a question of balancing, do I really need this plugin? Because it is going to make the experience a little bit slower. So this is the carousel plugin. So you can see this is pretty worth it. Like I'm okay waiting if the user has to wait an extra like 1 second for this page to load, but then they get this carousel that looks very cool and it's useful, then that is worth it to me. So you kind of have to think about with plugins, don't go overboard with plugins, but at the same time, don't try to make stuff yourself on WordPress when a plugin can just do it for you. So I hope that answers your question. There's just kind of there's some sort of a balance there. And so just to kind of show you a couple useful plugins. First, if you want to add new plugins, we can add a new plugin here, and then you can kind of just search through them. Usually, so one, we just talked about search engine optimization or SEO. So if I kind of just look up SEO, there's a plugin that a lot of people use called Yoast SEO. And I personally do use that as well. And so what that does is it checks, is this post that you're making, does it help you rank on Google? That's pretty much all that it does. It's pretty useful. So this is one that I'd recommend using. And then I will show you guys the one that I would like to show you is the team plugin. So this plugin is called WP Team. And what this plugin is that on the page of our website where there's tutors, you can see that it's very nicely formatted by this plugin. So this plugin it's got like a picture, and then it's got a title, and then it's got a name, then a title, and then a bio. So that formatting is all done very nicely, and it's very easy to move around with the plugin. Before, I just did this with just like a regular old page, and it wasn't very easy to kind of manipulate. So that's why the plugin's being used here. So I just wanted to just show you so you can see this is all of our tutors, and these are all live on the website. So you can kind of compare like the tutors page versus this. And it's very easy. The thing that I like about this is that it's very easy to add new tutors. So that's because what we do is we add tutors, and this makes it super simple. Nothing has to be changed. So let's say I wanted to add a tutor. Let's say I wanted to add Tanya and as my tutor. And then with Tanya, I just got a bio from her for LinkedIn. So maybe Tanya is a math tutor for us. And a bio is here. He's got this from LinkedIn. So thank you, Tanya, for joining the team. Appreciate it. And then we will add an image. So just, you can kind of click upload image, and then you can kind of just upload a file from here. So you can upload, you can just get, this is also from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn photo. And then I'll just kind of show you that with plugins, it makes it very simple to do things like this. So we set that as the image, and then all I have to do is just kind of publish this. And then I'll show you that it does actually go live on the website, which is pretty cool. So it takes something like this would take you a long time to do yourself. Like every single tutor, it was getting very cumbersome to keep adding them. So now if we kind of just go back to the page and then refresh it, you can see that at the bottom here, we have Tanya. So welcome to the team, Tanya. It was just that simple. Like that took like 2 minutes. And of course I've done this like a lot of times. Like I know how to do that, like the back of my hand, but it's very simple. That's kind of the benefit of plugins. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers. I was going to talk about creating pages, but I think I think this is a good place to stop. I will go back to one last thing. So back on the slide deck here, I just have some resources here for some things that I've found very useful. So I will share this slide deck. I'll put a link to this in the chat. And so just the last, there's a couple websites that I linked to here that have some very high quality, some very good free images that you can kind of search up. So they're very good quality, and they're great to use for your website. So if you want some icons, I linked to Flat Icon. And if you want some actual pictures, then I gave you, there's Pexels here, which is, these are websites that I really like using. They have great pictures. And then one thing that I didn't talk about, but that is going to be important for you guys getting started on your WordPress journeys, is actually, so once you have like a hosting service, you need to install WordPress on that service and kind of get it set up. That's not something that I would go over in a workshop, because it's just very it takes a long time, and there's not really much, there's no pitfalls there. It's just kind of like a process. So I linked to an article that I followed this, and it was very clear on how to install WordPress using Bluehost, which is one of the hosting services. So these are places that I would recommend looking at as you're kind of getting started on your WordPress journeys. All right, so yeah, that's all for the presentation. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'd be happy to answer questions that you guys have now.
Thank you so much, Raj. Unfortunately, Tanya had to step away to join another meeting, but
all good.
I'll be here to facilitate. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type in the chat, or unmute yourself to talk directly to Raj. I know our presenters like it when people ask directly. Looks like there's one question in the chat. Are there security issues with plugins?
Yeah, so it does depend on the permissions that you're giving the plugin. So sorry, let me just link to the slide link. So there's a slide link for those who would like it. Yeah, it does depend on the plugin. So I think that the one thing with plugins is there's always like an option to automatically update the plugin or to not. I would recommend not. The reason is because I've had this happen where the plugin automatically updates and it does something that you don't want it to do. So then it kind of breaks your website. You really don't want your website to break. That's not a good thing. So I would say that just be careful with plugins and kind of vet it. You can kind of see based on like how many reviews it has, how many stars it has, that sort of stuff. Most plugins are pretty safe. Unless you're downloading some super sketchy plugins, you should be okay. I've only been burnt once, and that was just because it automatically updated and kind of my website wasn't compatible with the new update. But aside from that, yeah, I think that you should be pretty safe with plugins.
Question from Allison. Looks like, how easy is it to transfer a website from Squarespace to WordPress? Is there like a kind of copy paste system, or is there like a bigger process? Is what I think Alice is trying to ask.
Yeah, so I would definitely, I'm not 100% sure. Like there might be a way to do it, But I would recommend copying and pasting. Like I would just say, as long as you haven't done like too much on Squarespace, just move it all to WordPress, so that way you have everything is in WordPress and you can kind of get a fresh start from there. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend. It's something that'll kind of like pain you to do once, but after you do it that one time, it'll really benefit you. So this is kind of something that you have to do. Like when I moved from Google Sites to WordPress, I had to copy paste everything to WordPress. It was kind of a pain once, but like a year later, I'm really happy that I did that because it's kind of given me a path forward. So I hope that answers your question, but I would probably just try to get it all directly into WordPress.
Hi, Raj. Thank you for the presentation. What do you think about Wix? Do you think about Wix, or have you ever used Wix?
I have, yeah. And I have actually some people working for us that love Wix. It's kind of up and coming, Wix. So it's getting closer to what WordPress is, but in my opinion, I still think that WordPress is a better way to go. Just at present, I think that WordPress is, just because it's so widely used. With WordPress, it's very easy to integrate like an email list into it, integrate like a shop into it, integrating. There's also like HubSpot, which is a customer relations management. It very, very nicely and easily integrates into WordPress, whereas the same cannot be said about Wix. It's a lot more complicated. So I would just say, because of the cross-platform compatibility of WordPress, that I would recommend using WordPress personally.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the informative presentation. I'll definitely look at that for sure.
Absolutely, happy to help.
I think Jasmine asked, do you offer one-on-one mentorship, Raj?
Yeah, my goal is to kind of teach you guys how to do it, how to do this yourself, you know. So I would definitely recommend, if you guys have questions, it's a good idea to just kind of look it up, like WordPress XYZ, WordPress how to make a side-by-side text and image, and then something will pop up. We can connect offline, Jasmine. I know that we've definitely connected about this for sure. But just in general, when you have questions, the good thing about WordPress, and because it's used so much, is that there's also a lot of help articles out there. So again, like 1/3 of all websites run on WordPress. So lots of people have written about how to do random stuff on WordPress. So if you have questions, Google is a great resource for WordPress.
I got a direct message question. It says, can you change the theme later? My WordPress site is super old and a student set it up. But the person can't tell if they set it up to be customizable, and now they want to update it and it's hosted on GoDaddy. Is it possible to update, modify, or change themes?
Yes, it is. So it is possible. It'll be challenging, but it's probably worth it. If you have a theme that you are not a fan of, change that as soon as possible, because the more that you do on one theme, the more difficult it is to change to another theme. So when you change themes, what'll happen is like the formatting will get kind of messed up, and you're going to have to go through and change the formatting of each page that gets messed up. The best case scenario is that when you change themes, everything's just like perfect. That usually doesn't happen, but everything just works. That would be the best case scenario. Generally, what ends up happening is that you'll change themes, and you'll have to kind of go into some of your pages and reformat it to make it fit better with your theme. But definitely choose a theme that is customizable. It's kind of a pain, and you can change it, but you want to choose a theme that can last you for a long time so that you don't have to change it. That's my recommendation. But in your case, yes, definitely you can change it.
Any other questions?
I have one more question.
Oh, go ahead.
So which one has it become more successful to you? Like when you were in Wix, I think you said, the website that you used to use before? Is it more successful now using what was it, the website called? Sorry.
Yeah, so
WordPress.
I used to be on Google Sites for Tutors for Good, and now I'm on WordPress. And so I mean, I guess I wouldn't say that the website success is like solely defined by the website builder that you use. Like, it's probably partially because we've done like more marketing and stuff, but like I think that it's a huge step up. Like I can show you again the what like our old website looked like. It was pretty it's pretty sad. It looked like it was from like the 2000s. So like, I mean, it was very simple, easy to make. But in like, honestly, I think that now when people go to our website, I'm a lot more like proud of it and willing to give it. So this is what it looked like before on Google Sites. And this was a free website builder, and I made it in about a day. So you can see it's just like blue, and it's got like text on it, and it's got links. So I mean, it works. Like it got everything that it needed to. But now if you go to tutorsforgood.com, it looks a lot better and a lot more professional. So that's why this is what WordPress can do. It can take a website that looks like this and really elevate it, give you the opportunity and the tools to elevate it to the next level.
Thank you so much, Raj. I think with that, with respect to time, I think it's time to end the presentation. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, Raj, before we finish it up?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, let me know if you guys have questions.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to another Rec Innovation Lab workshop. We hope to see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. This was great.